what you've tired of hearing before? Okay. Good evening. I'm Roger Blood, Housing Advisory Board Chair. This meeting of the Brookline HAB in open session is being conducted remotely in a manner consistent with state law. For this meeting, the HAB's convening via Zoom is posted on the town's calendar. Please be advised that this meeting is being recorded. Anything that you broadcast may be captured by the recording, including your video if you have it turned on. All materials provided to members of this body are available on the town's website as links to this meeting's agenda. The meeting will follow the agenda unless I note otherwise. And welcome to members of the public, both those who are scheduled to participate and everybody else whose names I see. Any votes that are taken by this meeting will be conducted by roll call. And let me add just one other thing for this meeting in particular. We have a very tight agenda, including several important votes. So I'm hopefully going to get to manage the clock gently, and that's conditional upon everybody who is participating keeping focused and keeping us able to attend to our business and move from one agenda item to the next. So with that said, I don't think I'm going to take the role of the HAB members. I see everybody, and I'm sure we'll be able to hear you. We have our staff, Emily and Iwana, with us as well. So why don't we begin by voting on the minutes of 2 prior meetings. And those are, hold on a minute. The minutes first of the December 25th meeting. Is there a motion to approve those minutes?
I actually think it's the December 3rd meeting, even though it says December 25th, which would have been Christmas Day.
Oh my goodness. My
2025. That's what I meant by 25.
What did you say, Emily?
The year I did 2025. That's why it says 25.
Oh, December, of course. Of course. Okay, that one's an obvious one. Any motion to approve the minutes of December 3rd?
So moved.
Second? Somebody?
Second.
I'll second.
Okay, all those in favor, Jonathan?
Yes.
Bill? You're muted, Bill?
Yes, sorry.
And welcome back. Good to see you.
Thank you.
Carol? Carol?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
Bernard?
Yes.
Sean? I see you're muted, but welcome.
Hi, yes.
And that's everybody from the HAB who's present and more than a quorum.
I think
So
Pam is on the phone, I think, Roger.
Oh, thank you. Yes, I saw her at the bottom there without the name. Pam, can you hear us? Ask to unmute. Pam, do you want to unmute? We'll catch you yet.
Roger, you didn't vote.
I'm voting yes. Yes, thank you. Well, we've got the votes, and we'll check back with Pam for the second vote. So the minutes for the December 3rd meeting are approved, and then January 26th. That's not right either. Then
The year
2026.
That would, I'm guessing that's.
I just wrote it down from what I read without really thinking about it a lot. So
Yeah, it's 2026.
what's the date?
7th.
The 7th. Okay. Is there a motion to approve the minutes of January 7th?
So moved.
Second? Somebody?
Second.
The minutes have been moved and seconded. All those in favor to approve the minutes of January 7th, Jonathan?
I was not there. I abstained.
That's right. Bill? You're muted again. You're muted.
Sorry. I was not there, but
That's right.
I reviewed them.
That's okay.
Yes.
Carol? You're muted too.
I was also not there.
Okay. If
So
we need your
abstaining.
votes, abstaining, that will get us through the minimum. Steve?
Yes, and I saw a note from Pam that says she's muted. I don't know if she can be unmuted, whether she needs to do that
Oh,
or the staff needs to do it.
We, I think she needs to do it.
if she can hear us, Pam, hopefully you just heard, what Emily is saying. We can't unmute from, from our end. Bernard,
Yes.
Sean,
Yes,
and, we have 3 abstentions, so those minutes are, also approved.
Roger,
um,
did you vote?
Oh, I
Pam is
voted again.
having
Yes.
trouble unmuting, and I remember being on the phone and having the same problem of figuring out how to unmute, but I'll try and help her because I did figure it out at one point.
Do you have her number to call her?
Yes.
Okay, because if not, I have it here, right here, so.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks, Carol. So we have, the first agenda, business agenda item is, revisiting 2 Clark Road. We have, Anthony Rossi is back with us, and I think Jennifer Gilbert, perhaps, with Anthony. And Emily, do you want to start by giving us a quick summary?
this is
I don't-
this is Jennifer. I actually represent Maimonides, not Mr.
Okay.
Rossi. Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. If Emily, if you want to begin and give us a quick summary, I know you've done some work on this since we last met.
Sure, yeah. So the units have been shifted a little bit. There are 5 units, which is required by 15%, and I believe 7 bedrooms, which is 15% of the bedrooms. And they're not next to each other. They're throughout the building on all 3 floors. And there are, I think, let's see, there are two bedrooms, I believe, and three bedrooms. Is that right?
Three
Or
one
four?
bed, 3 1-bedrooms and 2 2-bedrooms.
Okay, yes, thank you. Anthony, do you want to take it away?
Yes, so, good evening, Anthony Rossi, I'm the applicant on this. So I've been working, hand in hand with Emily over this for a few months now. So I think we've got a pretty good handle on this now. So we provided, 2 2-bedrooms on, one on the first floor, one on the second floor, both corner units, larger 2-bedrooms. In fact, the one on the ground level also has outdoor space on it. And then we also did 3 1-bedroom units, and they're larger. They meet the requirements of over 700 square feet for each one. In fact, I believe they're closer to the 800 square foot range, 780, 770 range for those 3 1-bedroom units. And that's the amount of bedrooms in the building. If you take the percentages, it equals to 15% of the same amount of bedrooms that we have in the proposed 35-unit complex. And that's spread over 3 floors.
Thank
Yeah.
you. I think, Emily, you've been in contact with the state and had some clarification about what they needed for, what is it called locally?
Local action units.
Yeah, and to get credit for those individual units. They're not a large number, but we want everything we can get. And I think part of that was, you needed to see that they were not adjacent to one another.
Yeah, they told me that they would flag them if they are adjacent to each other. So now they are not adjacent to each other. So Anthony changed that, which was great. And the next steps would be for the developer, Anthony, to submit the local action unit application to the state. And there are attachments that include a fair housing, marketing, and lottery plan. So it's a good amount of information to get together. And then that enables them to get their building permit.
So,
Right.
let me just, let a couple of people in here. Unless members want to actually revisit the detailed floor plans and the physical designation and distribution of the units, which you're certainly entitled to, we are going to be asking, or we're going to ask now for two votes. One is for your approval, reapproval, of what you've just heard, the 5 distributed units, which include 15% of the bedrooms, and a second vote, which would authorize, what is it, me and someone from the department to sign the application that's going to be submitted for the state to accept and approve these, Emily?
Yes, so you would sign for the Housing Advisory Board, and the next step will be the Select Board once we get the application together, and then Bernard will need to sign that application as well.
Okay, so what goes to the select board?
It's going to be the application to EOHLC, which has the square
Right, no, I
footage.
got that, but is the 2 Clark Road proposal going to the select board?
The application that will go to the state goes to the select board, which is focused on the affordable units.
Okay, so items 2A and 2B won't be going to the select board, or will they?
2B.
2A,
I'm trying to figure out what I can vote for and what I can't.
okay.
Yeah, Emily, it's the vote for the distribution of the units that we're going to accept now,
Yes,
the corrected distribution, and then secondly, the HAB members authorizing. I don't think you're not voting for us to authorize the select board to sign anything. You're only authorizing, I think, me to sign on behalf of the HAB. Is that correct, Emily?
correct. So on the application, there's a signature for the housing board, and then there's a signature for, I think, the chair of the select board, since we're a town. And those are the 2 that are needed.
Okay, so that means that the second one I shouldn't vote on because it has to be presented to the select board before I can sign.
Actually, I'm not sure, Bernard, because all you would be authorizing in that second one, you would be authorizing me to sign it, which would then be brought up to the select board. So that's the way I understand it.
Wow, I'm confused.
Am I describing that clearly, Emily, do you think?
No,
Or
I think you're right. I think it is a little confusing. It needs to,
Yeah.
so I can show the votes if that's helpful, Roger.
Sure.
Let me get that up.
Maybe I should just abstain and make it easy.
You could, because we'll probably still have the votes to get this business done. So there you go.
Okay, so number 1, I can vote.
You see, number 2, I would think you could, Bernard, but because you're only authorizing me to send it up to you, and the select board will be the final sign off before it goes to the state.
Yeah, okay, I'll vote on both of them.
If
I go to jail, I go to jail.
If it's okay with members, I'll
We'll
offer.
visit you, Bernard, don't worry.
I
Good.
think Steve has a question.
Yeah, I do have a question.
Steve,
You know, I
yes.
think we've resolved the issue of the number and location of the affordable units. But with my planning board hat on, I'm the planning board rep here, looking at some of the plans. So, Mr. Rossi, this project has not yet been submitted, or has it, for building permit review? In other words, it hasn't come to the planning board yet, correct?
Well, yeah, the only thing that has to go forward is site plan review, because there's no special permit on this.
Okay, well, I have a couple of issues with the unit layout, not big ones, minor ones, but when I was looking at the location of the various restricted affordable units, unit 211 caught my eye because it's a 700 square foot unit. That's the minimum size that we require for a 1-bedroom unit, but it actually also has a study. And basically all these units have studies because of the deep floor plane of this building. But when I look at that unit in particular, I mean, so that the bedroom doesn't even have a closet. There's a closet in the study. So I don't know how far along you are and whether there can be some adjustment in these plans.
Of course, these are just Remember, we have to gut the
Okay, well, just let
building.
me, I know we have a lot to do. Let me just explain what I'm concerned about. I see that there's a very wide hallway in the main portion of the building, which I think can be narrowed. The hallway narrows quite a bit in the angled portion of the building. I think that the bathrooms, which are in between the bedrooms and the studies, ought to be moved a little bit so that the bedrooms are actually a little bit bigger than the studies, not smaller than the studies, which are windowless interior rooms. And I think you could make the hallway in the main part of the building, which looks like those walls are not on a structural line, you could make the hallway a little narrower and actually put the closets in those studies, move them out so that they're kind of in the hallway and don't kind of protrude into the room, and find room for closets in all the bedrooms. I mean, I'd be happy to talk to you about it offline, but I think there are some small things that could be done to improve these plans.
That's fine. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Steve. That's good. Short and sweet. I will move, if it's okay with members, both of these votes together, save us a little time. And I will move those if there's a second.
Second.
If there's no further discussion, all those in favor, Jonathan?
Yes.
So I don't forget myself at the end, I'm going to vote now because I'm next on the screen.
Okay.
Yes. Bill,
Yes.
Carol,
Yes.
Steve,
Yes.
Bernard,
Yes, this time.
thank you.
And Pam.
Pam. Oh, welcome, Pam. It's good to
Yeah.
see you. Voice and face.
Right.
Sean,
Yes.
I don't think I've missed anybody, including myself this time. The votes pass. Anthony, good luck with the rest of your process and building and getting us some more affordable housing in town.
I appreciate it. Thank you for your help, and Emily, I appreciate all your help through this process.
Thanks, Anthony.
Thanks again. The next item on the agenda is also a vote, hopefully very straightforward. And members are quite familiar with this since it's been on our plate as a project for a long time. We have funded our local contribution to BHA Walnut High Phase 1 of 10%, $7.5 million out of us for a $75 million project, split equally between the HAB and the trust and the CPA. There were some long shot legal questions temporarily last year about the CPA's 50% commitment. So the HAB was asked to temporarily return and step up for the full $7.5 million in order that there would be no legal questions at all from the other funders, state and federal, what have you, which we did. Subsequent to that, all of the questions about the CPA component were squared away. And so since that point, we've had a redundancy where we and the CPA were both guaranteeing the town's funding of $3.75 million. And so it's well along where we're ready to, and this is a formality really, we need to request the select board to unencumber the $3.5 million on our trust's balance sheet. And I will offer a vote to make that request if there's any questions or discussion, but first of all, if there's a second.
I'll second.
Any discussion or questions? Great. Jonathan?
Yes.
I'll vote yes. Bill?
Yes.
Carol?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
Bernard?
Abstain.
Pam?
Yes.
Sean?
Yes.
We're good. Unanimous and one abstention. So that is straightforward and done. The next item on the agenda is again, kind of a long running topic. I'm going to give you a very quick summary, and it's basically positive at this point. You'll recall that we have talked for a long time, hoping to have a working policy for future funding of affordable housing projects mainly, working in conjunction with the CPA. That it didn't quite work as we had hoped for BHA Walnut High Phase 1, but we've moved on from that, and we have, as you recall, more recently developed a draft non-binding memorandum of understanding, which we reviewed and approved at the HAB late last year, and then eventually got a date to make a presentation to the CPA committee, which I did with a PowerPoint. Several of you, I think, observed it. Then we were hoping for some more continuation of progress and discussion and engagement with the CPA. They did, of course, we know, have a busy schedule this time of year. And it didn't look like we were going to make more progress, and we were contemplating filing a non-binding resolution to sort of promote further discussion as a town meeting resolution. However, as you're going to hear a little later this evening, we're going to hear from BCDC about a funding that we're going to be asked to consider and approve for completion of their project. And these two things were kind of unrelated, but they've had a convergence, which I think is something kind of positive. The CPA committee had funded 1.1, almost $1.2 million for this project initially, with combined with about $400,000 or $500,000 of outside sources. This details in your meeting package, but some unexpected structural needs due to termite damage and other causes had BCDC finding, as you'll hear, the need for more funding, and they're partway through the project, and they needed more funding. They went to the CPA, which had given them their preservation funding, but as you may know, CPA on a timeline frame has only the ability to commit funding basically once a year, and they've just completed their bundling up of recommendations, which will now be a warrant article for the May town meeting. So directly, they wouldn't be able to fulfill BCDC's remaining funding needs, which total now 822,000. Up until this week, we were working with a round number of about 800,000. So I attended the CPA meeting where all of this was discussed, and also the fact that we with the trust, the HAB with the trust, aren't our hands aren't tied on a timeline of annually, that because we work through select board approval could be done much sooner. And in this situation, the project is open, the property's open, it's cold, it's got tenants. They really need to continue and try to complete this before May and June. So what we proposed first informally was that if they wanted to come to us, we would entertain the whole request, as we're going to do. But we wanted, consistent with our longer term hopes, to have the CPA folks partner with us. So we tried a couple of ways of doing this, but basically I won't need to go through the detail of what didn't work, because we did find finally something that looks like it's going to work, which is we're going to be asked with our authorities to fund and get the select board to approve the commitment of the entire $822,000 or $23,000, and then the CPA committee, we're very happy to report 2 nights ago, voted $400,000, roughly half of that, to be part of their town meeting warrant article going to town meeting. $400,000. It's not going to, for regulatory reasons, reference the BCDC's project. It's only going to be an open-ended refunding of the town meetings. I'm sorry, the Housing Trust balance sheet. effectively, it's going to replenish our funding that we would be doing sooner for this project. I was very happy to see that because it actually turned out to be an unexpected working example of the sort of thing that we've been hoping to do in a general way. In other words, project funding that can be done through the Housing Trust with support from the CPA in terms of funding that is channeled through the trust and vetted and approved by us, but with the one significant condition that it complies with all of the special CPA regulatory requirements. I was very happy to see, because I was also waiting and hoping that when the CPA committee on Monday officially were all smiles because they had wrapped up and voted their town meeting article, including all of their other requests, and they've been really busy, and this 400,000, that David Lescoyer, who many of you know, at the end of that meeting, when they were talking about what are we going to do next, said to that committee, now we can engage with the HAB and its request for us to work with them on trying to adopt the policy such as the sort we've submitted to them for in the MOU. So I'd like to invite David at this point. And well, let me just say, David will share with you, I think, from his view, basically what I've just been saying, which we view as a positive. And from the standpoint of our agenda item, we're not going to ask for a vote tonight, and any thoughts about whether a town meeting non-binding resolution is something that probably won't be constructive in terms of a positive dialogue with our counterpart committee, and we can just put that on the shelf, and hopefully it will not be needed, but it's there dormant in any event. David, are you on, or can you be invited?
Yes, I'm here.
Yes.
You hear me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Please pick up, and if I've not accurately described what we've both been experiencing, we've had some really good offline conversations, but the HAB, I think, would be very happy to hear what you have to say about this.
Okay. Yes, I think that you've pretty well presented it, and it's given a clear picture of what's happened in the last few days. Actually, I thought maybe go back to last September. We had a kind of summit meeting. Bernard was there. You were there. Chaz Carey, Kara, and us. And it came up at that time. We were trying to solve the $3.75 million problem, which tonight you voted. That sort of closes that one out. We're very pleased about that. And we also talked about the need for a kind of relationship, a working collaborative relationship between Affordable Housing Trust Fund and the Community Preservation Act. It's true that this is kind of relationship exists in many communities where there are. And here in Brookline, the Affordable Housing Trust Fund goes back years and years. And it was in 2020 that the bylaw was modified so that the Affordable Housing Trust Fund would be eligible for Community Preservation Act funds. It required a change in the membership of the committee and some other language in the bylaw that it will be in accordance with the Community Preservation Act money will be administered in accordance with the Chapter 44B, our Community Preservation Act law. And so we discussed at that time the need for this, some kind of memorandum, some kind of understanding. And we said, I think quite clearly that, we're coming up to our grant cycle season. We really don't have the bandwidth to get into this until after we've put our warrant article for May to bed, have created the report for town meeting. Then next, we have a new staff person now who just came on board in the middle of all of this. She's Laura Smead, and she's hit the ground running because she worked on actually developing our plan back in the beginning when we were just getting going. So she knows the committee, she knows Brookline. She was working with Jen Golson at that time, who was our consultant for all of that. And she's worked on Affordable Housing Trust Fund, creating one for the town of Canton when she was director of planning there. So we're in good hands. And so I think certainly, hopefully, we would like to set up a working group to take the draft that the Housing Advisory Board has created. Ask our staff person to look around a bit and get some other information and possibly some presentations from other towns so we know or cities, so we know what's what, the lay of the land, and we'll try to put all of that together. But and here we have this situation, and BCDC came to it came to us. The overall project, as I'm looking back at our materials, was 2.6 million. CPA contributed 1.2 million. ARPA 680,000, and then also there was additional money that, with the leverage of those grants, that the BCDC was able to get from Brea State programs and the Department of Energy resources to make this Boylston Street project not only up to date in terms of kitchens and bathrooms and roof and envelope, but also energy efficient. It's really up to a 21st century standard. It's quite exciting to be part of that. But in the process of uncovering the layers of construction, it's a very old building, going back, I believe, to the 19th century. They discovered this structural damage, and that's what you're going to be hearing about. And so we, the Community Preservation Act Committee, are appropriating actually 400,000 in recognition of the 828,000 that HAB is granting to BCDC, and that funding will be will really replenish the Affordable Housing Trust Fund balance, which is now around 8 million. You get and the town budget is calling for 1.6 million from free cash, 400,000 from here. I think you're going to be in a strong position. I think the Affordable Housing Trust Fund with close to $10 million. So that's excellent. And hopefully some projects will come along. Meanwhile, we'll develop our model for relating from one to the other. All of what the Affordable Housing Trust Fund does under the auspices of the Community Preservation Act needs to come back, because we have to report that to the Department of Revenue every year. We submit, it's called a CP3, all the information about all of our projects, and that information goes to the Community Preservation Act Coalition, and they publish a database so we know about all the projects that are being done all over the country, and that's how it happens. So thank you very much, and I think you're going to hear a lot more about this project, and we are excited to be a part of making it happen.
Thank you, David. Thank you very much. And again, I was grateful for your remarks as you closed out your meeting on Monday, anticipating this and this agenda item for us this evening as well. David's mentioned a couple of things that real quick in terms of the 400,000 coming to the trust. And again, we've talked about this previously, I think, but we will be having, and we've already requested the Lincoln Heineman, the town's chief financial officer, this will be required, that within the trust fund, a separate line item account. It's an accounting action, not a separate account. All dollars coming into the trust, beginning with this 400,000, even though it's not project specific earmarked, has to be separately accounted for, because when it, not only when it comes in, but whenever it's spent in the future, it must be accountable under all CPA regulations, which and authorities, which are different. They're compatible with, but they're different than our own trust fund authorities. And so there needs to be reporting requirements have to be fulfilled. And David's right. The department has Laura Smead's new staff person there is going to be terrific. She knows not only the CPA side, but as he mentioned, started the Canton Housing Trust. So that's really going to be working with Emily and Iwana, a terrific staff coordinated support as well. And the other thing David mentioned, and if any members want to make this a vote, we certainly can. But we would like to certainly have your approval in terms of the process over the next few months. As a practical matter, having a few people from the CPA committee, and 2 or 3 from the HAB, who have been working on this already. And Steve is for example, Logical is our CPA representative. Myself, maybe another, but very small working group informally would probably have to be designated as a subcommittee for open meeting regulations. But a committee of 9 and a committee of 10 in monthly or periodic public meetings isn't the best venue to actually try to work something up that will make sense to everybody. Obviously, it would have to come back to both full committees for ratifying. But if we want to vote on that, we could, but I just want to make sure that makes sense to everybody. And if there's any folks that are uneasy with that, we can discuss it or formalize it, whatever you please. But between David and me, that's our full report. Jonathan. You're muted.
Sorry, should have learned this by now. It makes total sense to me, and I appreciate the work you and others have put into this. And I don't feel like a vote is,
including you, Jonathan.
I don't feel like a vote is necessary, but I'm happy to take one if you'd like that. If you'd like one.
Could we decide what other members from the HAB should be? I think the subcommittee idea makes sense. I guess I am obvious since I'm the liaison between the two. I should be probably part of that. Who else wants to join me?
Well, I'm going to be part of it as well,
Okay.
of course. I think we need a minimum of 2. We can have a third one if there's somebody that has a special interest or concern about this. Jonathan, I will say we had spoken a bit informally about all of this because you've been very supportive along, and I think you've said that you're subcommitteed up or something to that effect.
I have tried to beg off because of the AHOD committee and the ADU committee and other things I'm expecting to come up. So I'd rather pass if I could.
Maybe
Thank you.
Roger, I think maybe you and I mean, I feel like I'm subcommitteed up too, but I don't see how I can duck this one.
Jonathan will provide his wisdom and advice when called upon, which will happen.
Always.
Other than that, well, we can leave it at that for tonight. And if it turns out somebody has a burning interest in this, that sounds good. And if anybody wants to move or wants a vote, we'll take one. But I'm happy with where we are. Okay. This is a natural segue, if there ever was one, to the next agenda item. And I see at least one person smiling because he's going to, as I told him earlier today, he's going to have center stage for a while here. But I think so we'd like to welcome the BCDC folks to join us in the next discussion. You all know very well now where we think we're headed on this. You're a small organization, and I see the person who occupies your proverbial corner office is with us as well. So maybe the formalities suggest that I should introduce your esteemed executive director and have her introduce you. But we all know you, and Dave, welcome to your new role. So,
well, thank
Deborah?
you. Thank you.
Deborah, welcome too. Welcome back.
Thank you, Roger. We're excited to tell our story. We're like 75% of the way done. We want to get this over the finish line. Hopefully I'm stealing Dave's story, but I am so eager to get this done. I cannot tell you. So,
agreed.
Take it away, Dave.
All right. Well,
Deborah, that's the shortest speech I've ever heard you give.
Well, Oh, you know who I did not introduce is Hallie Thomas.
I
And
was going to say Hallie's here too.
is our experienced project manager. She's been helping us on a lot of issues, the whole navigating a lot of complex issues that at first blush you like, why couldn't you figure this out months ago? And then she starts explaining why, that's just not how it works. So if you have questions about the timing, things like that, Hallie is here to answer your questions. And we
If I might,
probably ask them of her.
Yeah, Deborah, if I might, and I know we're gonna be watching the time tight, and yet we want a full presentation. And everybody's received the package, so I'm gonna assume that the HAB members have had a chance to review and the staff. But if I might, just if Hallie, if you might unmute and take just a moment, because this is going to be an important long-term relationship and partnership with the town and the HAB and our CDC. Tell us just a short version of who you are and a little bit about your background and how you happen to be in this position now.
Sure, yeah, happy to. So I'm with Tierney Development Services. We provide a lot of construction oversight and represent the owner. So working through, helping them establish scope. It depends on when we come into the job. So we come into the job at different phases, but help establish scope, work with the architect. We can manage design consultants. We will then put the project up for RFP. We will run through the bid process. We'll procure contractors, work through the contract, and then help through construction. So I came to BCDC. I started working at BCDC a little bit later in the process, but they've been great to work with. And I think it's a complicated building sometimes. So Tierney does a huge range of sizes, 100 million to the 2 million. So in some ways, these smaller occupied rehab buildings are actually can be more complicated because you start unpeeling the building and things pop up. So it is a lot to navigate and, but things are moving forward. So I think we're in a good place. And my background is I started in architecture. I worked for a real estate developer for almost 15 years, and I joined Tierney Development about a year ago. But it's very similar work that I was doing with the multifamily housing developer.
Thanks, Hallie. Dave, you're on.
All right. Well, I'm really grateful that Hallie is here because, as I may have mentioned in some of our prior meetings, there are weeks that go by where I feel like I certainly talk to Hallie more than most members of my own family. And, there have been a lot of early mornings, late nights, weekends, holidays. There have been over the last 6 months, I feel like there's been a lot of conversations I've had with Hallie. And so I'm grateful she can be here, and really grateful to her and to Tierney for helping with this project. So I do have a presentation, as always. Let me see if I can share it. Here you go. So, I know that a lot of you have seen us and me present about this project in the past. So I'm not going to try to cover territory that we've already covered. I know that we're watching the clock, and I want to make sure that we leave time for people to ask questions. Mostly tonight, I'm just going to try to run through what might be new in the presentation, that in the materials that we submitted for this meeting, and answer a couple other questions that have come up from some of the members and from folks in this process. So the first thing I wanted to just say at the outset here is thank you. This is a big project, and we have 24 of some of our town's most vulnerable people living in this building, seniors, children, people with disabilities, and this building needed a lot of work. And that we're really grateful that we have Hallie and experts who are working with us. And frankly, we wish we did not have to be here tonight to request additional funding. We wish the termites had, we don't wish termites on anybody, but we wish they had skipped this building and gone to another town. But here we are. So just quickly, I know that some of this has been covered in past meetings, so I'll go through this quickly. Just as a refresher, we issued the RFP in the spring of last year, broke ground in June, discovered the termite damage in the late summer and in the fall. There, as Deborah mentioned, we are at a place now where there's roughly 70%, could be a little more, of the work that's been completed. A lot of the interiors have been substantially completed. The kitchens and bathrooms, the equipment has mostly been installed, including the heat pumps on the roof. But there are these additional repairs that are left to complete before the project is finished. So we are still hoping, and I hope people can see this. I tried to blow it up as much as I could. We are still hoping for the project to be completed by the end of March, which, as Roger indicated, is why we have had approached the HAB and the CPA to help us finish this work, because we didn't have the luxury of waiting, because this project is hopefully coming in for landing. And that's as Deborah said, that is what all of us want, including the residents here, certainly. So this is the summary from the request that you have before you. And I think there's part of these costs that I think are expected and were discussed in January. And that's in particular the emergency repairs for the termite damage. That's mostly what you see here. And this is something that we've discussed. I know a number of you have seen these photographs before. And the damage as we removed the envelope of the building, and our project manager started showing us photographs, and our contractor started showing us the condition of the wood, that are unavoidable. These just have to be addressed, these conditions. And this is actually something that came up. You'll see one of the costs that's associated with this request is this so-called BoraCare treatment, which is treatment to the wood of the building to prevent termite access and termite infestation, that can only be done at this stage when the envelope of the building is off, and before it's insulated with the updated siding and the building is fully enclosed. So that's that request. That's that portion of the request before you. And of course, we're happy to talk about all of these in more detail. And this is the repair work and the bid that was submitted by our contractor, eRise, that's currently being contemplated, some of which is underway. So then the second part that's newer is the additional work, the additional site work that's not captured by the termite damage. And this is where, Hallie's on the call, and I think can speak more to some of these costs. So I think I'm going to kick it to her. And the thing that I will say briefly here is just, I think there were a lot of moments in here when Deborah and I, and and frankly Hallie as well, our number one question was why? Why are we coming back and discussing this now? What is this cost? Let's understand what the request is here, and whether it's reasonable. And so I think, Hallie has really spent a lot of time working with these numbers, working with these issues, and understanding, why it is that we need to request additional funds to address them, and why they weren't captured a year ago, or whenever the original request was made. So Hallie, do you have a quick?
I think the way I've been thinking about this is just to simplify a little bit. There's a lot of, very specific items here, but there's kind of like 3 or 4 big buckets of costs. The way I'm thinking about it is the emergency repairs that Dave just talked about, which is the rear wall and all the structural damage that we found, right, when we uncovered and started taking off the siding. And then you have new scope that just was not a part of the scope we originally established. We were trying to hit a very specific budget, and certain items could be completely pulled out and we could still move forward. Now we're at a point where, and I have to say I wasn't totally a part of all that establishing the scope, but now we're at a point where, we're creating this envelope that's tight, and now we need to do water mitigation. So there's a lot of water mitigation components that are in here, like stormwater retention, and then you repair the site sidewalk. So a lot of those go together, but it's new scope. And then we have a bucket of costs that are due to just an aging building, like corroded plumbing stacks that we came across, completely unrelated to construction, but costs that we uncovered and felt like, okay, we have a construction crew here, they need to be addressed. And it's most efficient to do it right now. So there are costs that are carried here that kind of fall into that bucket. And then the last one is unforeseen costs that could be carried under contingency, but it's very clear scope. So I think a part of the issue is, we carried a 10% contingency on some of the hard costs. This project was broken out into a couple different contracts, and it maybe wasn't enough. So we pulled about 80% of our contingency. We still have to do some significant work in the building, even though, it's just siding and windows and startup. You do need some contingency at the end of a project. That's when things continue to pop up. So there are things that have to do with that, like the safety rails, for example, like that's about $10,000. We probably should carried it. It was not in the drawings, but we have to do it. So that's that other bucket of money. Could we carry in a contingency? Yes, but we will not make it through the project. So with the contingency we have left. So that's high level. Hopefully, I'm sure there are questions, but that's kind of how we're thinking about the budget.
Yeah, and thank you for that, Hallie. And so this is, I'll just go through the rest of this quickly. We only have a few more slides here. So that's exactly what I've tried to capture and what the request tried to capture. I just tried to summarize some of those, some of the descriptions of why this work is necessary that are in the submission itself. But there's a number of different reasons why Hallie and the project team explained that this work is necessary, whether it became necessary or it hadn't been fully understood at the outset of the process. So, a few examples here are, the rooftop solar. There was a 2023 solar analysis that said that this property was not a good candidate for solar. Since then, Hallie and her team have gone back and have revisited that analysis, and actually they think that was not correct. And actually, this is a property that could be suitable for solar installation, which even for a small building like this would be a significant addition for the tenants and for low-income tenants in particular in an affordable housing building, where the increase in electricity costs as a result of the heat pumps that you can see here, that could be a significant expense for these folks. And so this is it's the kind of added project scope that, Deborah and I took very seriously when they came back to us and told us that the solar was a better candidate for this building. And, of course, all the sort of appropriate roof analysis and load analysis and all of that will be done. But that's that captures some of that work. The stormwater management was another one. There was, as I understand it, they discovered a significant amount once they were removing the sill, once they were actually looking at the underlying structure of the building. They discovered that because of the slope of the site, there was a lot of water and moisture damage that was occurring that, we certainly wouldn't want to have impact the work that's being done now, the work that's being invested to preserve this building and make sure that it can be an affordable housing building and in good shape for many years to come. There's some of these, like the corroded pipes within the walls that were just not observable until the work was proceeding. And that's the case as well for some of the basement work that you see captured in the request as well, that the moisture from the site, the stormwater issues was simply beyond what had been anticipated. Deborah, I see you're raising your hand.
Oh, I didn't mean to.
Oh, okay, sorry. I was afraid that I'd said something wrong. But anyway, so So that's just a short description of some of these issues. We can, of course, get into more detail on any of them and provide more information on any of that. But that's a sort of quick overview of some of the questions that have understandably been asked from some of the members of the HAB. And so, Steve, this is for you. I know that we included the information on the windows, the triple pane windows when we were discussing this in January, and you were asking about some of the specifications for these windows. We can double back on this and spend more time if you'd like. But these are the windows that are going to be there and are really all part of ensuring that the building delivers the cost savings that it's intended to because of the insulating properties of the windows and the walls and the rest of it. So in terms of the original project budget, we were at about 2.7 million, given all the various costs and anticipated fees and structures for this project and for its work. We think that this is still a very good investment for the town, in our opinion. It's preserving these 6 units versus the cost of building a brand new affordable structure, starting from scratch. We do think it still represents a significant savings compared to the cost of building from the ground up for a unit of this size. And I think Hallie's working with us to make sure that's the case and to make sure that we identify these costs and do this work the right way and take care of it as quickly as possible. Understanding that these are town funds that have to be used to their highest and best purpose. And that's really, where I wanted to finish, which is just how grateful we are. I know that this has taken a lot of work and a lot of time and a lot of conversation between the CPA, the HAB, Iwana from the town who's on here, and other folks with the town. And I certainly, on behalf of BCDC, want to express that we recognize that this has not been easy, that this has and that we're really grateful to live in a town where people care that much about this work and want to support it. And so, I really do think that this is a project that's going to be a model and a sort of feather in the cap for Brookline, for the Commonwealth more generally, and really for the country. I mean, this is the cutting edge of environmental sustainability and preservation of an all affordable structure. And so, those are just some of our residents who took a Make-A-Wish trip earlier this fall, and I know we all know that the population of folks that we're talking about, but it does make us feel good when we're talking to these residents and hearing from people for whom, getting a tube of toothpaste at the holidays in our holiday gift drive is a big deal, is not something that they're used to, that having toys to be able to give their family for the holiday season is not something that they've always been able to do. And it's meaningful to us to be able to provide them a place that they're proud to call home. So we're really grateful. We're here to answer any questions and of course can submit anything that folks would like to see in addition to these materials.
Thank you, Dave. I probably will have a question or two at the end, but since we've had an opportunity to talk prior to this, let's have open discussion from other HAB members. And I see Pam.
Sorry, I can't figure out how to raise my hand, so
Yeah.
I'll just.
No, that's fine. You're and we can hear you fine and we can see you. So
Great,
why don't you
great.
start?
Great. Dave, thanks for doing this. So I just have a few questions. First is, will the licensed site professional back out before you recover the building to make sure that all the termites have gone away? Like, how do we know that?
Do you want me to take that?
Yeah, go ahead, Hallie.
We had a termite consultant come out, and there are actually no active termites. So they do not believe we have it's all old. But we have a program with them. As a part of this, we are establishing a program with the termite. When you say licensed professional, are you talking about an LSP or for termite?
I didn't know if the LSP is the one who did the first analysis.
So we had a termite specialist. So,
Okay.
come out to review. When we saw the damage, we had our structural engineer come out. They recommended we bring out a termite consultant.
Okay.
Now. So we've had multiple people look at it. In regards to the termites not active, it's old, but we are taking a number of measures to prevent it from continuing, including longer term.
Okay. So on the longer term, I assume that's reflected, the cost of that is reflected in your operating budget, not in your construction budget.
Yes.
Is that correct? Okay.
Yeah.
And then the other question I had, so let me just run through them. So I'm a little confused on the solar. So the original analysis showed that solar didn't make sense, but now you think it does. So can you just share that report? Like, who did that? Who did the report that analyzed that solar was now?
Yes, we have so I can't remember the solar company, but we have a solar company with a report. So where Tierney is.
Resonant is the name.
Didn't they say the problem was the building structural system couldn't support solar?
So this is one of the issues, and
I don't think so.
I had a conversation with Dave on this. So as many of you know, I was involved in real estate development for 50 years. For the last 20, Beacon did a number of projects and we added solar. Matter of fact, we have a development in Western Mass. It was the first retrofit that included solar. And after, it was in Western Mass, they get a lot of snow. We had a very reputable company for the solar installation. They did the calculations. I get a call it was an existing building, from the maintenance supervisor saying the building is now bowing out. So whoever did the calculations didn't do the calculations correctly. So this is something that for me is a hot button. And I really just want to make sure that, and we just had another problem on a property in Southie. And so you really, really, really need to be certain that an existing building can handle the additional load associated with solar. And secondly, you need to make certain that your warranty that you get from your roofing people honors the fact that there's solar on your roof.
Yeah.
And that they're there to watch the installation and sign off. Because if not, you will have problems.
Well,
because there will be problems. Let me just say, there will be leaks.
You're
Take it away, Hallie.
Steve
No,
may
we're on
disagree
that.
with me.
You
but-
are.
No, we're on that.
You're 100% right on all those. So regards to the structural, part of that number includes the structural analysis. So I cannot say for sure that we can cover all the structural repairs, but we just had to do a significant amount of structural reinforcement for all the HVAC equipment. So we have a way and a plan to do it. And so for the structural equipment, we had to sister all the joists to support that equipment. So, but yes, you are absolutely right about the structural piece. and-
Okay. So does the costs, the budget that you've provided include any additional structural, additions that will need to be made to support this? I just want to make sure we don't get another request. And so if this hasn't been factored into these numbers, then I'm reluctant. I just want to make sure you get one bite at this apple and it's including everything that is needed.
You're absolutely right. So it includes some, we don't know the extent of the structural upgrades that will need to be done. And like I said, we have done some, but that is definitely an exposure. We don't know until we say, we commit a little bit more and spend money to start that process.
But
So there is.
I'm sorry. No, but at what point does it maybe not make sense? I mean, I
So-
understand the value of solar. I understand all that. But at some point, I mean,
The amount of money.
so the point is that this may not be the last time you're coming to us. Is that a correct
think it's-
statement?
Oh, no, Pam, from my cold at hand, if it doesn't make sense, if we go back and we have a conversation with our consultant and they say, oh, this project cost is going to increase for the solar 30%, then I think we have to ask some serious questions about whether it makes sense.
But isn't
You
Pam
know,
also
but I'll,
talking
I'll
about?
tell you that the issues that we heard around the placement of solar on the roof was, it wasn't about the weight.
But it should be.
recollection- Well, no. Well, yes, but it wasn't what can the building withstand so much as there were questions about the trees in the backyard and people not trimming them, and you know, whether people could actually make money selling some of the solar. Those were the conversations that I was a party to.
Right. That's not what I'm concerned about.
I
The
know what you're
trees,
concerned-
the
Yeah.
trees impact how effective your solar is going to be. I'm
Right.
concerned that you have a building left after the next snowstorm once you put the solar on. That's all I'm saying. And if you guys are totally comfortable, then that's great, because it's your liability. I mean, I'm not liable, but I also want to make sure that if there's more, I think you need to be clear to us that this may not be the last time you're coming to us for money. Because if the solar costs, I don't know what's in your budget, but I'm making up numbers. It's $20,000. So if it comes in at $30,000, are you going to need to come back for another $10,000? That's what I'm trying to understand.
It's actually the single biggest item in your budget, $55,000. And does that actually
$55,000.
include any additional structural upgrades?
Sounds like it doesn't do all of it, Steve, is what they're saying.
But then you have another construction contingency of
Exactly.
$33,000 on this new work. So
Well, if there's unknown unknowns here, and you're time constrained, wouldn't it be wise to lock down all of those unknowns before you become irreversibly committed to the solar in the first place?
Well, sorry, Hallie and Deborah, I'll let you respond. But I think I think that's indeed what Deborah is suggesting. Yes, that before the solar would be irretrievably committed, there's some additional exploratory work that needs to be done and some additional expenditure that needs to be made. Isn't that accurate, Hallie?
Yeah, but I would say before you spend any money on solar, you need to do the whatever due diligence. And I think that's all we should be approving at this point.
And Pam, that may be fine. I would say that there has been some due diligence. I have tried to remove myself from much of the day-to-day.
Absolutely. Absolutely. As you should. That's why you're
Yes.
Hallie.
But I will tell you that people have been out, and they, you know, there have been conversations, there have been some measurement and analysis. They have told us some of the things that they think that we need to do. And because I was no longer backseating the project managers, I didn't take it all in. But
No, this isn't your issue. I understand.
Well, as the board president, it becomes my issue. But we will get you an answer to this. How about by Monday?
One of the
Give us a
things,
couple of days to
yeah.
track down that
Is the
consultant,
answer the-
because I think there's more done, Pam, than Dave and I are able to articulate.
So
One of the approaches that I'm thinking that we might take, and I perhaps should have set the stage with this before we began, but this is a good moment, is that because we're planning a vote tonight, and that might be a conditional approval, identifying, and this sounds like it could be one of the things that would be one of those conditions, because we want to acknowledge that time is tight. We want to make sure you know what track you're on with us, and if there are conditions that they can be met in a tight time frame that doesn't require the HAB to meet again, but the approval would be made tonight with might be more than one condition that would and I'm just going to propose that it would be subject. The HAB would authorize in its vote tonight that the conditions would be, they would delegate the approval of those as sign-offs following our vote, possibly to myself, our staff person, and Pam, for example, and that we would be, conscious of really focusing with you on meeting these conditions as fast as we can, and you would be trying to meet them as well for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
Does that make general sense?
Yeah.
And I just have one other suggestion. as you can tell, I have an issue with a lot of these solar installers.
Hmm.
I don't know, Haley, if you or Brooke know of like some other type consultant that really looks like your structural engineer. They should be looking at this, not the solar installer.
Oh, agree. So with the, like,
Okay.
me by the structural analysis. So we have done some work because of all the HVAC loads.
Right.
Understand the roof. So the next step is paying. So, and we have done some work to reinforce the roof. Because of, we were in there and we knew we were trying to do this work.
Right.
We had significant areas opened. So yes, it is a structural analysis, as the next, or another structural analysis. We've already taken preliminary steps. It's really following through your, yes.
So
Yeah.
I'm making notes that this could be a logical condition following a conditional approval tonight. That you and we are able to satisfy ourselves that you've got whatever's missing now in terms of your the documentation information that that this solar plan can be done without the possibility of needing more money to firm it up, that you're going to discover that when there's things that you need to know right now. Steve, do you have your hand raised?
I do. I mean, Pam said she had a number of questions,
Yeah.
but we seem to have only
Well,
hit the
those
solar.
were, no, I did solar and I did before you did the outside of the building, the environmental stuff. And then I had a question about whether or not the ongoing termite work was in the operating budget, and Haley responded to that. Haley, who's your structural engineer?
It's a one man. I have to, let me double check. It's a smaller group. I'll get you the name.
Okay. So Steve, go ahead.
Well, so first of all, since this project, has come to us because when they initially went to the CPA to try to solve some of the more immediate problems of the termite damage, and it became clear that that was not the right place to go, and it was kind of partly my doing that, sitting on the CPA board, that they're here in the first place and here with a bunch of additional work that probably isn't CPA eligible, but it doesn't really matter anymore. So, I would say I could agree with Dave that this might be a national model for a deep retrofit of a highly affordable project, but it's also been one of the most frustrating small projects that I've seen in years of being on various boards and committees. I think because it's here, I think we ought to fund this. I mean, I have a couple of additional questions. I don't know if it ought to be conditional funding. Pam's raised some good questions about solar. I still am puzzled at how, notwithstanding hearing about peeling the layers back and finding more things that are wrong, how the owner could not know that there was water in the tank.
Exactly.
And on that specific issue, my house, 1890, this building was built. My house is also built in 1890, and for years I had no problems with water in the basement. But a few years ago, I started having water in the basement, and I had 3 different basement consultants, waterproofing consultants, come by and give me estimates of up to like $12,000 to $16,000, and including putting in a French drain around the interior perimeter, and digging up the basement and pouring new concrete and all that stuff. But finally, I had one of the guys came by and said, and your situation may be a little bit different. And by the way, you're talking about replacing downspouts. I don't see anything on the drawings that shows where they are and which ones are to be replaced. One guy said, looking at the downspout that comes down where I had the water infiltration in the basement, that corner of the house comes down into a planted area. And he said, have you considered using a downspout extender? So instead of spending $16,000 for all this work inside, I spent $6 at Home Depot. I put one of these accordion-like downspout extenders that move the water from the downspout to my driveway, and I've had no more water in the basement. So I'm wondering if you ought to look at more cost-effective solutions for that particular problem. A lot of it looks like putting in a new slab. It may also be French drains, but there's no site plan in these drawings. And you talk about downspouts, you talk about cracked walkways, you talk about a retaining wall. None of that is shown. I mean, there's 50 drawings in this set, and there's not a site plan. So I still say let's do it and fix these things as we go along. But you're in construction. You've got a deadline of March. Thank you for sending me the window spec. Those are UPVC windows, which we would not be allowed to use if this project were on Harvard Street. But you're not on Harvard Street, so that's good. They're probably coming from Europe, and I hope they make it. And I don't know what the tariffs are going to be, but
Steve, is there
I'm
anything
annoyed
that
and
would,
frustrated, but ready to put our money where our mouth is.
Steve, is there anything in the concerns you're expressing that could be mitigated by anything that we might have as a condition on this that they could meet in the very short term?
I mean, they have yet another contingency of $33,000.
Right, I'm gonna get to that. Yeah.
No, I can't think of any specific
Okay.
language that would make me comfortable for more.
Okay, other members?
I have one other question. Who approves withdrawals from the contingency? Does the town have any approval? Like, how does that work? I'm asking this because if there's money remaining in the contingency, what happens to it? And so I'm wondering who approves withdrawals from the contingency.
So go ahead, Deborah.
We do have this little contingency procedure. And it's probably like, and Hallie, you know more about these things than we do. But the process was, you can come in and request additional funds, but we ask a lot of questions. And our default is typically, no, you should have anticipated this in the original scope. I mean, that's.
Wait a minute, you're saying that to the contractor? Who are you saying that to?
Yeah, I'll say that to,
Okay.
we'll say, I've said that to the contractor.
Yeah, okay, I'm just trying to understand. You should have expected it. I was wondering who
Yes.
you were.
Yes,
I'm
okay.
gonna have a question and a proposal, but last in line here relating to, sort of indirectly relating to that, but Carol's got her hand up.
So, this is more of a comment than a question. I agree. I think at this point you are in construction, the site that you're mobilized, you've got to keep paying your requisitions. So we need to approve this in a way that you can actually get money that you can start to draw. So whatever vote we need to take and whatever mechanism we have to do, I am supportive of putting that in place so you guys can get this done. I want to put a pin in something that I would like to ask you guys to come back and talk to us about later, which is, I do not think you should take away from this that this is actually a good model. And it's not worth, I don't want to get into that conversation. We should have that conversation. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. And I don't think we've proved that out yet. And the fact that we're having this conversation, we're lucky we have an opportunity to fix this, right?
Right.
Yay. So let's not make it a model when it's not ready to be. But I'm ready to vote whatever way we need to get you guys money and get this done. So, and the worst project I ever did in my life had in occupancy rehab. I would never do that again. So we've all
No kidding.
been there, done that, right?
No
So
kidding.
anyway, but we've all had, I think we've all in the panel here have had different project experiences where we go, why did they do this? Why are we doing that? At this point, you are where you are. You've got a team that can deliver to the end, and I'm ready to let's go. Let's get you done. So.
Thanks, Carol. Bernard, you have your hand up.
Yeah, I just have a small question. With respect to the solar panels on the roof and the fact that it's a flat roof and we are in New England with a lot of snow. My question is, have we looked at insurance coverage that would address any failure of the roof that hadn't been anticipated?
Good question.
I think go ahead, Hallie.
Go ahead.
I think our insurer would require that, they're going to require that, we address the changes on the roof in terms of the policy.
Yeah, assuming that your policy covers certain things. So the question is, does your policy cover the type of risk that you're running with these solar panels on the roof?
We'll find out.
Yep.
Good point, Bernard. We will ask.
Not when the roof is caved in.
No,
We
I
need to
mean,
find out
it's
now.
a good point. We will ask now.
Okay, sorry.
I doubt that's insurable. but
Right.
you can
Pardon?
ask. I doubt that that's an insurable risk.
So that creates some issues for us, doesn't it?
It's possible, and that might be worked into one of the conditions on our vote to approve tonight. But only if we know from our team here, BCDC, that a condition can be met quickly, because that we don't want to have conditions that will drag this out, because that's not why we're here.
Can we
So
approve
can the
everything?
solar actually, can the structural, you have to get the structural work done, right? You come back later and you do solar,
Mhm.
right? I mean, we did that here, at our house. Would it be creating huge problems for you guys to come back, and not have the solar released in this package that you're releasing and get everything else underway? Is that,
If y'all don't have a heart attack with us coming back,
I don't think we want to hold you up or have to have a special HAB meeting just to have everybody reapprove, if we can put it on a streamlined track in a conditional way.
right?
Can't
I'm
we
just
just
thinking you can
approve?
also hold, that may be.
Yeah, I don't know if that.
I'm ready to do whatever that is, Roger.
I
That's
don't
fine.
know if that creates other problems, Carol. I mean, I think what we can do is approve everything, but I don't feel comfortable approving the solar, proceeding with the solar work until we get a real report, a written report, not like some verbiage from the structural engineer, because I think the liability to BCDC is huge. I've been there. It's huge. And so I don't know if that's possible, but that's what I would feel comfortable with.
it sounds, Pam, it sounds reasonable.
Yeah, I agree.
It sounds, that's reasonable.
Either a report or insurance, one or the other.
No, I want a written, they
She
want a
wants
written
report
report.
from a licensed
We want it in writing.
structural engineer.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
don't
right.
want it. I don't care. You guys, BCDC
I
should
care.
want that because
Right.
you got huge liability if
Absolutely.
someone doesn't do it right. I'm
No,
just
no question.
telling you from experience.
All right.
So, anybody else? I would like to, and I broached this subject earlier today, just talking with Dave about, you're coming tonight. Skin in the game is a term everybody understands, and usually it means that you are a partial owner, or you have equity at risk, or what have you. But obviously, that's not where BCDC is at in this respect, and that's not something we would expect either. But there is another way to have a small amount of skin in the game, where your 7.5% fee, hard and soft cost, is about $38,000. We've not done small renovation projects like this before, but we've had a number of other nonprofits that we've worked with that we all know in town, and very often part of our commitment and negotiations have been the deferral of that fee as a form of nominal skin in the game. Yeah, it's a real number, and at the end of your project, that it would be earned, except if your contingency fee were exhausted to the point where there was nothing left. So in other words, going back to the way you were describing, you would challenge cost overruns. In this sense, you would have skin in the game if you accepted the cost overruns. And I'll give you the quick numbers. Your fee is $28,000. Your contingency is $38,000. So you'd get kind of a free pass to give up $10,000 before it would affect your. I know it's not a profit, but it's your fee, and that would kind of be a way to approve conditionally this, including your fee, but with that condition to defer it, and you would earn it to the extent that your contingency wasn't exhausted. Does that make sense?
It makes sense. I go ahead, Pam.
I was going to ask, so do you guys draw down the fee at the end? Do you do it quarterly, monthly? How's it working now with the project that's currently in construction?
We
Do
would
you
draw
know?
it down at the end. That's how I
So-
was taught it's done.
So, yeah, so maybe, what happens, Roger, is if they overspend their contingency, they're just not getting a fee.
Well, they would, if they drew down the first 10,000, that wouldn't hit the 28 because they've got 38 in reserve. So someone comes to them for a $5,000 overrun, that hasn't cost them part of their contingency fee. But if they end up accepting $10,000 and one, then they're starting to eat into their fee. So to me, thinking about skin in the game,
Yeah.
and I had a lot of reason in my work to think about that, this would be a logical, fair way to approach it, looking at both of those numbers. And that we could vote now to make that one of our conditions. I have a couple of others, and one I hope is an easy one. Do you have an operating budget that you can provide us?
Oh,
'Cause
absolutely.
I didn't see it in the package.
An operating budget for the property or for the
For the
Yes.
or
organization.
for the organization?
No,
No,
the property.
For the
For the
property for
property.
this coming year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe what would be helpful is, what year are we in? So 25 actuals to 25 closeout. And then, end of year budget compared to what your going in budget was. And then what the budget is for 2026. Is that what you're asking, Roger?
If it's a quickie that they can do, yes, that would
Well,
be
I'm sure they
ideal.
have a
Yeah.
budget. I mean,
Yeah.
they're getting their audit done, so they must have your 2025 year, what your going in budget was and where you ended up. And then your projections for 2020, what year are we in? 2026.
Right.
Yeah. It's basically to, at least for 1 year, I mean, you're talking about sustainability for 20 years, but just for the first year, that you've got enough coming in to cover all of the expenses on the expense side of your budget, including, your operating costs and the maintenance of your capital reserve, which maybe you already have, but if it's not an unreasonable ask to do a quick, we don't want it to hold you up, but
They should have it.
yeah, I would think so. Or they would have the numbers to put it together
I
quickly.
mean, you must have a 2026 budget, right?
Yeah.
Operating budget for the property. So doesn't seem, maybe I'm wrong, that's a big ask.
So,
But I think what's important is to see it like quarterly, to see if, I think what Roger's saying is that Tom's got a lot of money in this deal. And so we want to just make sure you're able to continue to provide the high quality housing that you want to provide.
Right.
yeah, your coming budget, and I'm sure you've done it for BCDC, but your budget on this property for 2026 isn't going to be in the red by the end of the year, which would mean it's probably going to be in the red going forward. But so that's something that I think should be pretty easy to do. And then the third condition, and again, not for the whole HAB, but just for a few of us to come back and check the box, so to speak, would be on this solar that I think the way it was worded, having sufficient information from your structural engineer to give us comfort that that you've got that and you're protecting yourself more than us, perhaps.
And the
There's not
residents, yeah,
exposure there
absolutely.
for future asks.
Yeah. I
Let
think,
alone liability. Those three
Yeah,
things are what I would suggest.
I think you just need a written report from your structural engineer to give yourself comfort that you're covered when we have snow like we had a week ago.
Hallie, you're frowning. Is that because you're okay? What do
Me,
you
no,
think?
I agree.
Just a reminder, we have one more agenda
No, I
item.
know it, and I'm trying to push this now a little
Okay.
bit. I'm watching that. So I'd like to move approval of the amount asked based upon the information that's been presented to us for a conditional approval by the full HAB, subject to 3 conditions to be met as soon as BCDC is able to, and with the HAB authorizing final sign off on those 3 conditions by myself, Pam, and Emily. Does that make sense, Emily?
Yeah, Steve, would you be willing to look at it too, since you're,
Okay.
Okay, that's it. Is somebody capturing this? Because I'm I'm offering a
Roger,
verbal vote.
I'm gonna show what I have for the 3 conditions, and I actually have more than that, so just tell me what I need to take off and we'll have it together.
Okay, well, I'm gonna verbalize the 3 and, if you've got some notes on them. Yeah, subject to a satisfactory written report from the structural engineer. On the solar installation.
On the solar installation
Solar,
right
on
here.
the solar, is it, should it be solar installation? No, back up, on, report on the solar installation.
No,
Okay.
what you wanted, what
Solar
you,
installation.
Got
what
it.
you-
There you go. And you already have a structural engineer, right? I think you
Right,
said.
and you've got
Yeah.
$18,000 in your budget for
Yeah,
additional
from-
architecture and
From,
engineering.
Yeah,
from the structural engineer. No, it's not gonna be subject to the insurance. I think if we get the report, we're
Okay.
not gonna require the insurance, right?
Well, why wouldn't we?
Because I think somebody said, maybe it was Jonathan, that they would be unlikely to be able to get that. I think it's great.
Well, we should
Should
see if
inquire.
that's the case.
What does the BCDC team think?
We
it-
should
obviously-
inquire.
Yeah.
I mean, Bernard
Yeah.
made a good point.
Right.
We should look into that.
No,
I
no,
agree.
I totally agree with that part, but if supposing that it's not doable in a reasonable time, do you?
Well, we should deal with that when it comes up. I mean,
I mean, it's a phone call.
Right.
You know,
Okay.
Right.
let's start with the phone call to ask the insurer, you know, what they cover.
right.
Okay, and, yeah, I think you've worded the last one, very succinctly there, Emily.
You know, I got a question about that one, Roger.
Sure.
So we are a mom and pop operation. And I get you say we don't have any skin in the game, but that's actually not true. You know, any non-discretionary funds that we have, you know, we pour back into the operation. It's not like anybody is making any money off this project. Part of that is inherent with us being a nonprofit. The other part of it is that we are so small. And so when you look at, you know, saying $32,000 or whatever it was is tied to overages that we cannot anticipate, you know, it assumes that we're not fighting tooth and nail, and Hallie will tell you that, you know, I am the Grinch that stole every conceivable holiday every time I see a change order. It's like, oh no, I can say no very quickly. And I think the contractors are now understanding that. But there's something that seems a bit unfair to punish us if unforeseeable things happen that you know, go to our very ability, you know, to complete other projects. So, you know, it seems harsh to me.
Jonathan has his hand raised, and but I'm just going to say that the language, I think, is more negative than it needs to be. I think it's deferral of the overhead fee, to be earned, not to exceed the remaining contingency fee. So it's not all or nothing. It's
Not to,
not
what'd
to
you say?
exceed the remaining contingency fee.
I
But Jonathan, you have something more.
I thought Pam stated this much better, which is what happens in virtually every project, and we could say that, which is they get their fee at the end of the project.
Right.
First, they spend the budget, then they spend the contingency, which is there. It's there to be spent if it's needed. And then if they still need more money, they have to spend their fee to complete the project. And any amount that's left over, they get to keep as the overhead.
Right.
I think that's good, and you've got a lot more detailed experience with it than I do. So I'm being logical, and you're adding your experience, and that also leaves them with skin in the game because if there's an overage that exceeds their contingency, then they would need to spend their fee to complete the job.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah, and
Right.
and I
Exactly.
get that, and I'm comfortable.
That's standard.
That's what we
very
bought
standard.
into.
That's-
sold.
That's
yeah,
what we
that's-
bought
Yeah,
into.
Yeah,
that's sold,
right.
yes.
That's,
Yeah,
that was my
that's,
thinking.
that, yeah, that's how it's done. So
So,
I
so
think
this,
that's right.
this wording needs to be changed, and I don't know if it just says deferred the fee, or we can assume that you'll spend the fee if you have to do it.
No, I think,
I don't
you
even
know
think
what,
that you need it. It's like,
I would just say defer fee until completion of the project.
right.
thank you.
Good,
Right.
It's just a timing issue.
right. There you go. Is there, first of all, a BCDC team, are we okay with this now?
Yeah.
Are we
I'm
taking
thrilled,
this
yes.
out?
Yes.
Are we taking
Yes.
this out? Yeah.
Well, let's talk about that, because the question is, if, I think what was said, which I'm fine with, is if the structural report comes back and says the cost of doing what is necessary exceeds what's currently in the budget, are we going to proceed? Or are we going to say no more money for that? I mean,
I would,
it's,
I would hang all of that, need to cover that with on the word satisfactory. No, if it's satisfactory, if we find it satisfactory.
No, Roger, but if they say, yes, we can do, this is what you need to do in order to support the additional load associated with the solar panels, but it will cost you another $15,000.
I think the answer, if they want to take that out of their overhead and do it, great. but
Exactly.
It's
Right.
not coming
Okay.
from us.
Right.
Yeah,
Not
so
coming from
exactly.
us.
That's what I want to be
Right.
clear about, Jonathan.
Okay.
Yeah.
If they want to use
It's
their
up
fee
to
for
us.
it, that's great.
It's
but
up
it's
to
not,
us.
I'm not, it's not
Right.
HAB's responsibility to
Right,
fund it.
Right. It's up
Right.
to us.
Yes.
Yeah.
We're done.
So do you
Mhm.
need the area
Yes,
in
we're done.
gray? Do you still need the word in gray there? You don't need it, right? This is.
No.
Yeah, okay. Any further changes to what you're seeing in yellow? Can we have the vote? Hearing none? Okay.
oh,
Can we go back?
Second.
You've got it, Emily, and thanks for getting that down, Pat. And let's go back to the full screen and we'll get this done. I'm moving it. The way
Second.
we described
I'll
it
second.
conditionally. Pam is seconding. Jonathan?
Yes.
I vote yes. Bill?
Yes.
Carol?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
Pam, you've already
Yes.
seconded? Yes. Bernard?
Bernard.
I think I abstain here.
Okay.
Sean?
Sean,
Yes.
did I miss anybody? BCDC, are you happy?
Elated.
Elated. Yes.
Thank
Thank you guys
Thank you all.
so much.
You're welcome.
Well, thank
Okay.
you for getting the project done.
Yep.
We'll,
It's-
we'll be.
Well,
we'll be-
moving it along, ain't done yet.
We'll be
No,
watching.
it's not done yet.
No,
And-
Pam,
and-
don't say that.
Don't say that. And again, I don't necessarily think every single piece of this project is a national model. What I really meant to just say is, sustainable, affordable housing. I'm
Thank-
hoping it's something that we all can be proud of. And we look forward to completing this project as quickly as possible.
Thanks, everybody.
Great.
You're welcome to stay. We're not going to kick you off or anything, but Meredith Mooney is right in the center of my screen, patiently waiting, and we are anxiously waiting to hear what she's going to share with us.
Buenas noches.
Meredith, welcome.
Thank you, Roger.
Does everybody know Meredith? Director of our
Yes.
Economic
So,
Development Department, subdivision. Meredith, the floor is all yours.
Thank you so much, Roger, and thank you to the HAB for making time for me on tonight's agenda. I know it's late, so I'm going to be very brief. I did quickly throw together, my apologies for not getting this to you sooner, but I did throw together a slide deck just to do some quick table setting. Okay, can everyone see my screen?
Move it, yeah.
Okay. Coming to you tonight, we are in the process of putting really fine-tuning, putting finishing touches on our proposed rezoning, which is one of the recommendations as part of the Chestnut Hill Commercial Area Study. And I have a very specific question for the HAB. So just a little bit of background, the Chestnut Hill Commercial Area Study, which I think you've heard about sort of peripherally related to your conversations with City Realty and their inclusionary housing, inclusionary zoning bylaw compliance. The study origins, this has been on our to-do list as a carryover from the 2005 comprehensive plan and some of the recommendations about rezoning to create more mixed-use opportunities, more commercial development opportunities at the western gateway of Boylston Street headed towards Newton. Today, the primary study objectives are to incentivize significant net new commercial tax growth in this area and to enhance the livability and identity of Chestnut Hill commercial area. This is a diagram showing the different study components. Tonight, I really wanted to talk to you about the special district overlay zoning that we're proposing. This is a map of the zoning overlay with, it includes 4 sub-districts, which I'm going to quickly give you a tour of, but just to orient everyone, this is proposes the transit-oriented sub-district. So this is Route 9 and Hammond Street, so transit-oriented sub-district. The purple here is neighborhood mixed use. This is the sub-district I want to talk to you specifically about this evening. And then there are 2 commercial-oriented sub-districts. This is the block here, which is the commercial 3, which is a reference to the max FAR here, which is 3. And then the yellow and orange portion are the 4.0 sub-districts. And these are, we are sort of differentiating between the 2 of them. This is the western block and the eastern block. And for all of these commercial-oriented sub-districts, there's a minimum requirement in the amount of commercial square footage that has to be proposed as part of the project in order to utilize the zoning overlay. So this is a diagram of the proposed maximum heights in the study area. I will start over in the neighborhood mixed use, which is what I'd like to talk to you about today. So we're proposing a maximum of 50 feet in height, which is about 4 stories, with the potential to go up to 75 feet, about 6 stories with the bonus. And then in the commercial 3.0 would be 88 feet, which is about 7 stories. That's mirrored on the opposite side of Boylston Street in the transit-oriented mixed-use district, and then it steps down to 6 stories as you move northward along Hammond Street. And in the 4.0, there's a maximum proposed height of 12 stories and up to 14 if you have greater than 60% commercial square footage as part of your proposal. And then we kind of have bookended the 4.0 with these maximum 7-story heights to help with the transitions down to other lower scale areas. So the sub-district profiles, very quickly moving through these. So the 4.0, you know, this includes the Chestnut Hill Office Park site that City Realty owns. It's been sort of on the town's radar as a really important economic development opportunity. It's an over 5-acre site. So we're looking in the 4.0 district to allow larger, more campus-style development with the trade-off of, you know, increased commercial activity, open space requirements, and tree canopy requirements. And the bonus height here is if projects include at least 60% commercial use. And these are renderings from the Heath Street side of the 4.0. The 3.0, we don't have a 3.0 specific rendering, but it's sort of depicted in this building here and then this building here. So this is commercial oriented, provides sort of transitional height and density between the sub-districts. And then the transit oriented intermediate density, and we're really, you know, looking to capitalize on the proximity to the Green Line Chestnut Hill T-stop, which is about 1,000 feet from this area. And then the neighborhood mixed use sub-district. So, so we're sort of envisioning this as moderately dense, multifamily oriented block with some ground floor retail activation along Boylston Street and kind of Boylston and Hammond Street. And there are the proposed bonus height of up to 6 stories would be tied to providing at least 50% affordable units to incentivize affordable housing, or hotel use would also be eligible for the bonus height. So this is a very quick overview of the sort of the different tools that we're using and for commercial and bonus requirements and how they're applied across the study area. And I wanted to talk to you tonight specifically about the proposal for the 6 stories in the neighborhood mixed use. So this is an excerpt from your report from last year, the Affordable Housing Overlay District Study Subcommittee, where there was sort of an potential opportunities identified for, between 5 and 7 stories, this affordable housing incentive. And so this is really an inspiration for the height bonus that we have folded into the zoning for the neighborhood mixed use area. My question for HAB tonight, I'm happy to answer any other questions about the zoning, but I know we don't have a lot of time, and so I just wanted to make sure that we got to this one very important topic. I would really love some feedback on how affordable units should be defined within the context of the zoning. This is an excerpt from the zoning here on the screen. This is the current language that we have. So, right now we're defining affordable as 30 to 80% AMI. I wanted to, pose this question to HAB, and I see kind of two avenues in terms of how to address this as we're looking to finalize the zoning and hopefully moving forward with filing the warrant article and going through the warrant article review process for town meeting. We could either decide on a definition that HAB feels very confident about and it's very concrete, or we could intentionally sort of create a broader definition that we would be able to, modify and reduce the scope of as we work through the warrant article process. And we could have that conversation tonight, or HAB could also, if there was a volunteer who'd be willing to work with me and Emily to fine tune this definition, we could do that offline if HAB wanted to designate a member as sort of the lead on that. So.
Thank you, Meredith.
Stop sharing screen.
Yeah, thank you. I might ask Jonathan a question. Of course, he should be smiling because this is going to be a pilot for the AHOD variation that RKG served up to them, and the HAB saw this. Jonathan, do you have an immediate recommendation or reaction on Meredith's question on income, or specifically thinking of the RKG report? Can you recall what kind of assumptions they might have made when they arrived at their conclusion that 50% affordable under these circumstances would be feasible?
Yeah, my thoughts are, yes, I think this is great. I did get a preview of this from Michael Rubenstein, the select board member who was thinking about it. So I am delighted that the AHOD report is turning out to be potentially relevant in this context. I think that's really excellent. I believe that when we were looking at the affordability for purposes of the AHOD report, we were talking about affordability at 30, well, as required for tax credit applications, which would have been at 60% of median, but with 13% of the units at 30% of median, which I think is part of the state's allocation plan and requirements to get an allocation of tax credits. But I think this is sort of a complicated question, and we ought not try to decide it tonight. I would volunteer to work over the next couple of weeks with you and Emily to focus on this, Meredith. If the committee wants me to do that, I'm happy to volunteer to try and refine it to something that seems, workable and likely to, allow the housing to be built while getting the most affordability we can. Those are sometimes contradictory goals, but
Meredith, in terms of timing, so we can figure this out quickly tonight, in the next 11 minutes. Do you have the latitude that the HAB would come back and ratify whatever we come up with, or shall we make some arrangement now to expedite this along the lines of what Jonathan's suggesting?
If there's an opportunity to expedite, I think that would be the preference. The warrant article filing deadline is February 25th, and our hope is that the select board will sort of be giving us the green light to move forward with filing the warrant article package by February 17th.
I'm going to call on the two hands that are raised, but the other HAB members maybe be thinking whether you would be comfortable just giving this to Jonathan to work this detail out with the staff and Meredith. Bernard?
Yeah, I'm fine with handing it over to Jonathan to work out the details. I think it's important, and the select board has not discussed this, but I think it's important that we have a range of affordabilities. 80% is pretty high, for some families. Maybe, but I think it better addresses, our need for middle income
Right.
families in Brookline if we went as high as we can in terms of affordability, which is I think 100%. So that's just my view.
Okay, thanks, Bernard. Steve?
Well, I just actually follow on what Bernard was just saying, which is that one thing that, and I also think Jonathan can deal with this, in our current inclusionary zoning standards and guidelines, we distinguish between levels of affordability for rental and condo projects. In condo rental, affordable levels are higher, and we also allow developers the option of making a supplemental payment to the Affordable Housing Trust to move the affordability levels, as Bernard was suggesting, let's say for condos from 80 up to 100% or even beyond. And there's a similar upward allowance for rental, and we need to determine to what extent those inclusionary zoning guidelines would apply to this district. I think they should. I don't know if they need to be modified, but those are two things that need to be considered.
Jonathan, you're taking all of this in.
I am, and I'm looking at what we actually covered in the AHOD report, and we had various scenarios, including, one scenario that had some units at 30, 60, 80, and 120, right? So we did look at a range, but I have to look at how the financial feasibility of all those kind of test ideas came out.
Right. I mean, it was important for these 50% affordable projects that the affordable units did qualify for various tax credits. And I think they also learned or showed us that increasing the median income levels actually did not make projects more feasible because you lost opportunities for tax credits and things like that. So that's a careful balance that RKG did.
Right. So, obviously if we put a range in, Jonathan, clearly a developer would take the range and go all to the top, which obviously they wouldn't be permitted to do. Bernard, we want mixed income, as does your report. Are you comfortable, if the HAB is, with just taking this on and working with the staff and arriving at this and talking with anybody you want to as you see fit?
Yeah, I'm very comfortable. And I agree that this is more complex than it should be, or it appears to be. But, we have to just try to address this issue in whatever way we can.
Okay. Yeah, the inclusionary zoning being a flat 50, clearly, just from this brief discussion, that's not what we want to tie ourselves, to something that rigid. Again, I don't think we need a formal vote unless there are any differences of view on this, and because the meeting is of record, of course. I'm just going to propose that we as we just said, have Jonathan run with this. He did a good job chairing the AHOD subcommittee. I view this as a pilot for the AHAB and AHOD, not AHAB. If that's okay with everybody, that's what we'll do, and because we're also short on time.
Jonathan, Captain AHOD.
Right.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, I'll keep Roger and anybody else who wants to be posted or wants to be part of the conversation, check in with me. I'm happy to include others too, but I'm happy to take it on, work with staff. We only have a week or two, so.
Okay, good. Well, Meredith, are you happy?
Very happy. Thank you very much. Thank you, Jonathan.
Thanks, Meredith.
We're gonna try to do a hard stop at 7:30, and because we always shoot for 7, and the updates won't allow us to do to all of them or spend any time on detail on any of them. We're done with the CPAC update, community preservation. I don't think, Jonathan, is it 0 seconds or 30 seconds for the ADU update?
The next meeting of the ADU committee is on February 11th. We have you heard a presentation by Alex. That presentation has been made to the planning board, to the advisory committee, and to the HAB, where we've gotten positive reactions. We'll be putting final tweaks on it and proposing a warrant article.
Terrific. And the town will be in compliance thanks to the subcommittee's good work. So thank them for us. Carol, comp plan.
So probably most of you have been flooded with many emails encouraging you to participate in expressing your opinion at this stage of the plan. There's a meeting on February 9th, next Monday at Town Hall, which is a chance to go through all the materials that we're at and actually work with staff and weigh in through that mechanism. There's also going to be a survey. And we're at the point where really the team has tried to put together information that helps give some feedback about direction in terms of development in Brookline. The level of, location of, type of. So if there's a moment to tune in, I think this is it. I would encourage you to do it. And the other thing is that Jake Collins, who sometimes comes to this meeting, has put together a very nice summary of kind of where we are in the plan. And Emily, I don't know if that's available for people to just a link to that, or you can get that around, but that would be great for people, because I think we're a little behind, but we're a little further along than people think.
I can
And
send
the
it
final
out.
thing I'll say is that we've gotten a lot of response in earlier surveys, and I think the degree that there was voices about housing was really important in kind of how the comp plan's topics are getting framed and the focus of the steering committee. So it's not like it's not worth it. It really is. Enjoy the survey and come to the February 9th meeting. You actually get to play a little game. So
Yeah, for those of you that are missing real human contact after
right
post-COVID,
after all this, it's good.
it's a drop-in event. The last one was a lot of fun at the high school. This one's at Town Hall next Monday evening, 7 to
It's
9.
at 7 o'clock, right?
Yeah,
7
so,
to 9. I'm sure there'll be snacks.
Urge more have faces there than we mounted last time, but anyway. The expiring use has really risen up to get a lot of attention in different places. I don't know how many of you have been brought on board with this, but we do have a challenge. Not something we'll get into detail on tonight. Our staff, Emily and Iwana, are assembling essential information. It's more complex than it might appear at first, but we've got one large project with Wind Development, Village Way and 99 Kent Street, where a large number of units with their affordable rental protections are expiring due to reasons that go back to the 70s and 80s. And it's going to cost money and commitment and attention on the part of the town. It's a three-way conversation with the state as well as with Wind Development. And actually, BCDC and Deborah are working from the tenant's perspective with the town hall as well. I don't know a lot about that, but Emily, Iwana, do you have anything to add quickly on that, what you're doing? You're muted.
Not at this time, Roger.
Okay.
We're still working on it. We'd much rather not speak too much at this time.
No, that's fine. And do you want to give a really quick summary of the resources? I know you've prepared.
Yep, I did send that out. There is inclusionary zoning. We got in $23,000, $23,032 from St. Aidan's. That's a payment we get every year from St. Aidan's. That project we had put funds in quite a few years ago. At this time, they are a little bit behind down in the financial department in posting all the interest. So I'm only showing $578 in interest and 73 cents in interest.
Yeah.
And that is going back to like the end of November. So we don't have December or January in yet.
What are you showing as the balance of the trust fund at the moment?
The balance of the trust fund, where monies that are just sitting there, it's 11,193,092.71. That's the full balance. The balance that we actually have, which we have not that we have at our disposal, is at this point $3,879,556.76. 62 cents.
Which will roughly double when we get,
When
what
you
we
put
did
back the
tonight through the select board.
3.5, yes.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
that's where we are. I checked in with Lincoln, and he wasn't able to access the Morgan Stanley system today, so he could give me any interest that we have already earned that's just not posted yet.
We're still
he's-
pressing to get that and,
Yes, I'm
so
still
I
trying to
think
get there.
for now, I think we're probably good to go, given the time, unless there's something else that's on your mind that's burning.
Can I ask, what is the interest that we expect from Morgan Stanley account?
At this time, I'm not sure.
Okay.
I'm not sure,
Could you
Bernard.
find out
because
and let me know.
I've been trying to get Lincoln to get me some information.
Okay, I'll
Even
call Lincoln.
so, I will. I
No,
will.
never mind. I'll call Lincoln.
Okay. But I'll still be trying. You may call, but I'll still be trying to. The other thing I was requesting from him, if it is possible, that it's an account that staff could access on an inquiry basis, so that each month, we could go in and have the right number for you guys and not have to wait for our accounting system to be updated. But I'd be able to give you a time, how much we got in interest, so we kind of have a better idea. He says he's looking into it and he'll get back to me on that.
This is really good for the HAB to know, because we do this every month, and that, and
Yeah.
they're open to it, which access to the books without waiting for the financial reporting lag
Right.
is gonna really help us get a lot more enlightened. Thank you, Ioana.
No problem.
Roger, there was one item that we skipped, and could I have
No,
30
no,
seconds?
it's the last and not the least, but
But
it's gonna be brief, but.
30 seconds, yeah. So that's the middle income housing incentive. So since the last time we talked about this, where there was more confusion than enlightenment that resulted in, I would say it was sort of similar at the planning board. There's been some progress. For one thing, Kara Bruton has bought into this idea, and she actually took some of the words that I tried to add to the HAB guidelines and came up with a slightly different version. And since then, it's become, maybe you could say, a carrot, stick, and carrot approach. But it's evolved a little bit, and we have not had a meeting of our subcommittee, but Jonathan's been away until just recently, and Carol's been in and out. So, and Blair Hines, my colleague from the planning board, who sat through this entire meeting until about 2 minutes ago, hoping to hear some discussion of this, but finally gave up. He's also on that committee. So what we need to do is have another meeting of that subcommittee, and we're still working on an approach that could be done administratively by changing our guidelines with approval by the planning board, and would not necessarily go to town meeting. Up for further discussion. But I'm hoping Roger will send out a doodle poll or whatever.
We're
find a time for us.
gonna have a meeting. We've already started talking about an early date, and we are working on parallel tracks here, as Steve described and Carol knows well. We're doing, we have a parallel plan to do reality checks with several developers working in the real market to find out what it will take to get to the objective on this. So with that, unless there's anything else that must be done, we're over 7:30 even by a couple of minutes, and I'd like to have an adjournment if there's no objection. We got a lot done. Thank you, everybody.
Thank
Well done.
you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.